war in Syria intensifies. The White House is reportedly days away on aiding rebels in their battle against government troops.
In Syria, hundreds more are dead, many of them children.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, Donald John Trump.
Right now, a historic moment. Donald Trump wins the presidency.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. God bless America.
What a night!
A complete earthquake. This was an earthquake unlike any earthquake, just came out of nowhere.
يغادر أوباما البيت الأبيض تاركا سوريا في حالة دمار.
الجامع يمكن الجامع لا
الله أكبر بالجامع.
The volunteers can be heard attempting to console the young girl as they try to free her.
بقي نصف مليون شخص مصرعهم في حين فر نصف سكان البلاد إلى الخارج.
Officials say that President Donald Trump has decided to end the CIA's program.
Well, the Trump administration has decided finally to end the CIA program that arms anti-Assad rebels in Syria.
سرعان ما تلقت المعارضة السورية ضربة ساحقة أخرى. أنهى الرئيس الأمريكي الجديد دونالد ترامب برنامج تسليح القوات المناهضة للأسد.
The election of Trump was really quite devastating, I think, to the rebels and to those who supported them. Trump made it very clear that he was not interested in regime change, that he didn't want the United States to be in Syria, that indeed he was eager to remove US troops as fast as possible.
Does President Trump have a strategy? No. President Trump has no strategy for Syria. What we do know about President Trump is that he does not want the United States to be involved in a civil war in Syria.
I'm afraid the stage will be set for the resurrection of other forms of extremism, ISIS-like extremism, rising again in northeastern Syria. So my prognosis for the near term in Syria is, I'm afraid, not a very positive one.
The US is to provide air cover along with ground assistance to a Syrian militia group that's launching a major assault on the city of Raqqa to retake it from Islamic State.
The Pentagon says warplanes unleashed one of their largest ever bombardments on the eastern city of Raqqa.
Syrian democratic forces, backed by US-led coalition airstrikes, are closing in on the IS stronghold of Raqqa.
في منتصف أكتوبر عام 2017 شنت القوات المدعومة من الولايات المتحدة هجومها النهائي على عاصمة داعش مدينة الرقة. كيفن هاورد كان هناك.
And when I stood in the roundabout in the center of Raqqa where they put the heads of Yazidi men and women, and I killed every man and woman that killed those men. Every single person that I shot, I didn't feel much. But I looked to my comrades, to the children, to the left and right at who I was fighting with. And I saw the joy in their faces. I was there when we killed them all. We destroyed all their cities. We destroyed everything they had, their families, their children. I was there. I watched. As Mark 82s and 30mm A10s destroyed everything that they had. Was that the way we should have done it? I'm just a soldier. I don't know.
A deadly labyrinth trapping civilians who are coming under fire from all sides. That's how Amnesty International describes the streets of Raqqa in Syria.
If buildings after buildings were destroyed with entire families inside, something must have gone wrong.
This is the kind of devastation you see all over Raqqa at the moment. Buildings which have been absolutely leveled by airstrikes.
Well, the fall of Raqqa is one of those stories that has not adequately been told.
A secret deal reportedly allowed some of the most notorious ISIS fighters to escape from a besieged Syrian city with their weapons.
The deal started with a media blackout. The Islamic State's escape was not to be televised. But thanks to amateur footage, we see that this was a convoy and a deal too large to hide.
قبل تحرير عملية الرقة طبعا تم السماح لخروج 4000 إرهابي من وعوائلهم من مدينة الرقة عبر الاتفاق ما بين قيادة قوات سوريا الديمقراطية وشاهين شيلو بشكل مباشر، والاتفاق مع الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. ما تم استهداف أي مقاتل أي إرهابي من تنظيم داعش إرهابي ولا بطلقة واحدة، وسمحوا لهم الخروج بأمن وأمان. المهم الاتفاق أخذ بحدود أكثر من يومين ل3 أيام مفاوضات ما بين الطرفين. على أسرى شاهين شيلو قال لي نحن هلا رح نطالب الإعلام بعدم التوجه، لأن كان في طلب من هؤلاء الإرهابيين داعش أن ما يكون في تصوير لخروجهم على حسب ما ادعوا أن خروجهم المذل، وطبعا هذا الشيء كان يرضي شاهين شيلو مشان ما يكون في أن وضوح، أن يكون في اتفاق ما بين الطرفين يظهر للعلن. وعلى أسرى طبعا تم تأمين الآليات والباصات، وأنا بالنسبة لي طلعت للإعلام وأعلنت أن المدينة ما تبقى تم في تسليم 230 من الإرهابيين هن من أبناء سوريا، وما تبقى في بعض من الجيوب كان عبارة عن نوع من التمثيلية. وعلى أسرى أعلنا ما تبقى يومين باسم حملة للقضاء على ما تبقى من جيوب داعش. كانوا بهالفترة هن بيغادروا مدينة الرقة بالكامل.
The group's final defeat came thanks not to a battle, but to a bus ride.
The deal to get them out of here is the deal that no one wants to talk about. It's Raqqa's dirty secret.
في 20 من أكتوبر تم الاستيلاء على الرقة، وهو نفس اليوم الذي سقط فيه قناع الYPG.
Publicly, the American couldn't or simply wouldn't see it. Now it's staring them in the face. In the middle of Raqqa, the SDF, whose members are predominantly YPG, has unfurled a giant banner of the PKK's leader Abdullah Öcalan.
حاولت الولايات المتحدة وبأي ثمن إخفاء العلاقة بين تنظيم الYPG والPKK الإرهابي، لكن اللامبالاة تجلت مليا على وجوه المقاتلين أثناء عرضهم لصورة مؤسس وقائد الPKK عبد الله أوجلان وسط مدينة الرقة.
Kurds in control of northern parts of Syria have declared a federal region there.
Lying on the border with Turkey, the region concerned was renamed Rojava.
بذلك وقع شمال سوريا الآن في قبضة جماعة إرهابية.
YPG did not want to go into Raqqa. The Americans begged them to go into Raqqa. They had no interest in Raqqa. It is not a Kurdish town. It is not part of their geopolitical goals of uniting, creating some kind of a band of Kurdish towns across the north of Syria.
حتى الآن الأمريكيون الثلاثة الذين انضموا إلى YPG لمحاربة داعش أصيبوا بخيبة أمل ورغبوا بالرحيل.
I came to Syria to fight in Raqqa. When the battle was over and we said, hey, it's time to go, they said, actually, you need to fight in Deir ez-Zor. They came into my room with Paul, put guns in our faces with policemen, SWAT teams behind the door, and told us we were going to Deir ez-Zor. I told them I wasn't going. I said, I will tell the media that you are forcing me to do this if you make me go. And my exact words of the commander were, do your worst. You can't do anything to us. We're untouchable.
As a citizen of a NATO nation, I would also be culpable if they said, hey, by the way, we're going to go fight Turkey or Syria. Once they got done with Daesh, they were going to turn their guns on Turkey and or Syria, depending on what our opportunity arose.
They sent me to a glorious communist prison full of comrades that have broke the rules in various forms. You're sold the utopian cause of a revolutionary existence when you join the YPG. In the party, in the PKK or the YPG, you cannot love anyone. You're just by yourself forever until you die. They think that's all right. They think that's good. You cannot wear t-shirts because it's forbidden for a woman to wear a t-shirt. You cannot watch movies that are westernized because they present different values to you. You cannot wear different shoes than anyone else because everyone needs to be the same. However, commanders can wear different shoes than you because they're better than you. But I thought we were all the same, comrade. Haval.
We are getting a close-up look tonight at the battle for the last scrap of land held by ISIS in Syria.
رغم هزيمتهم في معقلهم، يظهر داعش بشكل غامض في قرية باغوز في مقاطعة دير الزور.
طبعا ذكرت أنا العدد اللي تم إخراجه من الرقة 4000 إرهابي توجهوا إلى مناطق دير الزور. طبعا الهدف هو وضع هذه المناطق تحت سيطرة قوات سوريا الديمقراطية بحجة التحرير، وكانت عم بتقوم بإخراج قياديين تابعين لتنظيم داعش الإرهابي في مناطق عدة. يعني نحن بشكل دائم كنا نشوف بالليل كان في طيران يتوجه لمناطق تنظيم داعش الإرهابي، المناطق اللي تحت سيطرته، يتم فيها إخراج قيادات طبعا يكون في تنسيق بينهم وبين الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
معظم سكان دير الزور هم من العرب السنة. المدينة هي صاحبة أكبر احتياطي من النفط والغاز في سوريا.
Arab and Kurdish forces backed by the US have captured the largest oil field in Syria.
رأينا نحن تقدم ما يسمى مجلس دير الزور العسكري باتجاه تحرير ريف دير الزور، وما لمسناه أن آبار النفط آبار الغاز اللي كانت هي تحت سيطرة تنظيم داعش الإرهابي أغلبها تم تسليمه عبر استلام وتسليم ما بينه وبين ما يسمى قوات سوريا الديمقراطية.
النظام وحلفاؤه وقوات الSDF والتحالف الذي تقوده الولايات المتحدة يتسابقون الآن على قطعة من هذه الأرض السورية ومواردها.
This is what the end of the so-called caliphate looks like.
broken ISIS families and militants giving themselves up.
في قرية باغوز لقى داعش زواله رسميا، ويقف الYPG فوق قبره الآن، أو ما يعرف حاليا بالSDF. مع دعم من الولايات المتحدة فاز بالسباق على حقول النفط السورية، ويسيطر الآن على ما مجموعه 11 بئر نفط.
I would say that the YPG wants to survive, wants to have income, needs to pay its fighters, so they need a source of income. I think that people will make money in any way they can. And so if there's money to be made in oil, whether it's with Bashar al-Assad or other forces, even if they're enemies, the YPG and other Kurdish forces will survive in any way, shape, or form they can.
في 6 أكتوبر عام 2019 أعلن دونالد ترامب انسحاب القوات الأمريكية من سوريا.
We've been in Syria for many years. You know, Syria was supposed to be a short-term hit. We want to bring our troops back home.
Far from pulling out, as President Trump ordered only a few weeks ago, we saw U.S. soldiers re-establishing their presence here.
These U.S. forces have been ordered by President Trump to secure the oil fields.
وبحلول نهاية الشهر عاد الجنود الأمريكيون، وهذه المرة لم يحفظ البنتاغون أي أسرار معنية بالغاية من ذلك.
We've kept the oil. We stayed back and kept the oil. Other people can patrol the border of Syria, frankly, and Turkey, let them. They've been fighting for 1,000 years. Let them do the border. We don't want to do that. We want to bring our soldiers home. But we did leave soldiers because we're keeping the oil. I like oil. We're keeping the oil, and we're working with the Kurds.
We're going to start with some breaking news. The Turkish military operation into northeastern Syria has now started.
Now, the civil war in Syria looks set to enter a new and even more dangerous phase, with government forces on the move to help Kurdish fighters who are under attack from Turkey.
Evet arkadaşlar iyi akşamlar. Sağ ol. Sizler sağ olun.
It shows, in a sense, how the Americans are insensitive to the Turkish concern about Kurdish separatism. The Syrian Kurds, if they attract support from Turkish Kurds across the border, suddenly the unity of Turkey itself is at threat. Their biggest threat are Kurds who would split Turkey apart.
I think it was a decision made very quickly and almost unconsciously, without much thought being given to the implications of that decision for the bilateral relationship between the United States and Turkey. I'm struck by the absence of a careful review of the potential political implications.
The Kurds, once aligned with the U.S., are now fighting with Syrian government troops.
For Turkey, the goal is to remove Kurdish forces it considers terrorists and establish a buffer zone along the border.
There's going to have to be a good deal of work and negotiation with Turkey to allay their concerns about the Syrian democratic forces, the Syrian Kurds, to ensure that that region doesn't become a sanctuary for the PKK or a launch pad or an area of support for the PKK.
The Syrian National Coalition, the main political opposition in exile, is accusing the YPG of what it calls violations against ethnic Arabs.
طبعا هناك عملية تطهير عرقي كاملة، يعني أنا كنت شاهد على عدة أجزاء من هذه العملية. حتى الآن يعني في بلدات لم يتم السماح للعرب بالعودة إليها، خاصة المكون العربي. طبعا المخيمات النازحين يتم استغلال المواطنين هناك بشكل كبير، يعني مثلا لا يتم السماح لخروج أي عائلة من هناك إلا أن بعد بأن تقديم أو تدفع رشوة بمعدل $5,000 أمريكي على العائلة الواحدة حتى يسمحوا لهم بمغادرة مخيمات النزوح.
After an assault that is both total and pitiless by President Bashar al-Assad's regime.
Syrian government forces are pounding areas held by rebels. Caught in the fighting are dozens of children.
Heartbreaking videos appear to show a scorched earth campaign.
It looked like peace talks would fail before they even started in the effort to end the most vicious war in the world.
The Syrian war has killed hundreds of thousands of people and driven around half of the population from their homes.
It's been called the worst man-made disaster since World War II. Is there any hope for a solution?
Many of the militants will live to see another day, and they will want to continue to fight under different configurations and different groups, which we can't really predict right now.
The Pentagon estimates there are still up to 30,000 ISIS fighters in Syria. The president declared victory on Twitter against the advice of his top national security advisors.
We've been fighting for a long time in Syria. I've been president for almost 2 years, and we've really stepped it up. And we have won against ISIS. We've beaten them, and we've beaten them badly. We've taken back the land, and now it's time for our troops to come back home.
With the absence of the United States, with the absence of Western Europe, I just don't see any alternative to Bashar al-Assad remaining in his place for the foreseeable future.
You know, in the near future, it's hard to imagine Syria without Bashar al-Assad, not because it's the best outcome by any means, but he seems to be pretty well entrenched. You never know. Nobody is immortal, and nobody is you know, accidents and things can happen.
President Bashar al-Assad has claimed victory over the rebels several times over the last 8 years of civil war, but the turmoil in the region seems to be ongoing. What exactly would victory look like in the war-torn country? Is there really an end in sight?
I think, in fact, there will be continued resistance to him in various forms. He is not going to sleep soundly, I would not expect, for some time to come. The losers, needless to say, the Sunni Arab majority of the country that is, many of whom have fought and opposed the regime. Others have been displaced, killed. Very, very few winners, if you can use that term, in this particular situation, which has just had disastrous outcomes.
At least 6.2 million Syrians are internally displaced, while another 5.7 sought refuge abroad. And overall, 13 million people are believed to be in dire need of humanitarian aid there.
We're seeing evidence of the humanitarian situation inside Syria, and it is only getting worse.
The results obviously have been tragic. They have been catastrophic. They have been almost beyond belief in terms of the damage and destruction and loss of life. Probably 500,000 Syrians killed during these last nearly 8 years of civil war.
Syria was the end of your career, I mean, was a good end?
No, I have to say that it was a very sad end. The Americans usually don't understand the conflicts and sometimes make them worse.
The Islamic State is something that we created, the West. We pressured and tormented the Middle East into this. We left them no other option. And now that they have this option, now that they're killing themselves, now that they're fighting at a rate that we couldn't imagine, we act like we don't understand. We did this to them. We absolutely, absolutely pushed them into this.
I don't miss the Kurdish general. I don't miss the female Kurdish general. I don't miss that, because I think they're terribly out of touch with the reality of the situation. I don't think that any person in any military anywhere can understand the implications of their actions when they're far away while people are dying. I don't think you'll ever understand that. While they're drinking chai on a rooftop far away and sending kids that are 16, 17 years old that don't understand the consequences of their actions.
I got nothing out of it, nothing. Except the memories and some photos. And it makes me hurt that I tried to fight the Islamic State for these people, and they punished me relentlessly. It hurts.